Great stuff. Excellent. Good morning, listeners, viewers, everywhere, anywhere. Where are you, Jaff?
Right here on the quayside. The sun is out.
Are you okay? Are you happy? Are you
Yes.
Wonderful?
Yes, good.
Anyway, let's get
Good
going.
as you can be.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Let's get going. So good morning, listeners. Welcome to our weekly radio show right here on Spice FM and being broadcast live across the globe, online, digitally.
And each week we'll bring some views, news, and one or two clues from the business world.
You're listening to Amar and
Jaff.
So you've done that each week. We'll bring you news, views, and one or two clues. And I go, Asian Business Connections aims to connect, support, and promote the Asian and wider communities.
We'll be talking shop quite literally, not just corner shops. Whether you're looking to start a business, have an existing business, or you just want to talk business, we can help.
We can help. We can help. And we do help. Gosh, it's Friday, the 11th of March. Jaff?
Time's flying.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's, yeah, really, really interesting is the thing. And I just need to, Jaff, can you keep talking, please? Martha, are you there? I don't know if Martha can hear me.
God, there's so many millions of things to talk about. I think obviously the key thing that is taken over from it's a bit like when you do the 4x4 at the Olympics, you know, the 4x400 meters relay, and you pass the baton on. So the baton has been passed on from the pandemic to this Russia-Ukrainian war, and that seems to be the only thing that's dominating the media at this moment in time. And it's very, very worrying for not just obviously the everything that's happening in Ukraine, but I think it's worrying for everybody else around the world, because there's going to be a knock-on effect in all businesses and everyone's lives around the world. And you know, we've been getting phone calls from suppliers. Let's give you an example. The cost of chicken in the whole country, the whole Europe, is going to skyrocket because apparently the Ukrainians provide 70% of the chicken feed for the whole of Europe.
You would not believe what is made and done in Ukraine, Jaff. So the looms, so part of the electrical cables for vehicles are made there. Production's going to stop on some of the biggest name car makers, and I'm not going to mention who they are, but there's German car makers. How many is it? Hopefully there's more than one. Anyway, the cars stopping.
Yeah.
So I was listening to Radio 4 yesterday, and obviously in between listening to Spice FM, and they were talking about the financial impact across everybody, Jack. Right?
Yeah,
so it doesn't matter how much you've got, it doesn't matter who you are. As of today, we are all taking a 10% hit. Everybody is taking an immediate 10% hit on their income. And that's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse and worse and worse. I mean, our chicken supplier is saying that, look, the price has gone up by 20% immediately. And this is, unfortunately, this is the beginning. And it's just going to get worse and worse. And it's a matter of when things skyrocket and they go up by 30, 40%, if you imagine, then, you're paying you're going to put the petrol up and it goes up by 30–40%. All utilities go up. I think along with that, there's going to be the tax increases. I think that it's going to really pinch everybody where it hurts. And I think the world is going to be a far worse place for this. And I think the way that things are going, I just can't see how we're going to be able to reprise things and get things back to where they used to be. I just can't see it, because there's been so much that's been done so quickly, that how do you undo all of these things and get them back to normal? I just don't think it's going to happen.
Well, it's not, and it cannot. Now, I think this has been featured many a time, but there's a mini budget on the 23rd of on the 23rd of March, right? But at the end of this month, we're seeing a national insurance increase for both employers and employees.
Yeah.
Right. So imagine the impact that that's going to have on jobs.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be really, it's going to be so difficult. So everyone's going to get less money. The costs are going up. So everyone's effectively, it's not a pay cut as such, but you're going to be hit so hard. And I mean, what can you do to kind of tackle and avoid the situation? I think everyone needs to begin to think how they can adapt their life. I think, certain luxuries you're going to have to lose, because you're going to be faced with such increasing costs that you have to really adapt your lifestyle and maybe think about that now, because, if you are about to blow lots of money on a brand new vehicle, maybe that's not the right time. So I think everyone needs to think and try and some kind of gauge what's going to happen in the next few weeks and months.
Did you know I was buying a new car?
I was thinking about, I'm going to keep my bang out of my forever.
No, I'm taking one for a test drive tomorrow. It's just a Leaf. A Leaf is what it is. And I took this electric BMW, and it's fantastic. Jeff, £13 something to fill up an electric car.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, but what if you run out of electric, and then you go to the place to put the new electric in, and it doesn't work?
What are you talking about?
When the electric finishes, the battery finishes, and you want to go and recharge your battery, and you take it to a charger.
You mean the chargers. I mean, that is the challenge. But if you think about from I'd always, the likelihood is I'd always be going home, so I'd use my home to charge it up in any event, right? The point is you can do 250, around about 200 to 250.
Sorry.
Yeah. Hello, mate. Hello, mate. Hello, mate. Your parking ticket. Anyway, the point is, Jap, if you're doing 200 to 250 miles for £13, what does that look like from versus a petrol? How much is petrol?
It looks fantastic. Diesel, I mean, £171.70 a litre.
It is crazy.
It's unbelievable. It's like absolutely incredible. The cost of everything has gone up so much. It's horrendous. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, it's Challenge Jaff. We're going live. It's all happening. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm just 1 second.
All right.
Are you guys in or not? Yeah. You're not in? Okay.
Yeah, anyway, I'll keep talking whilst Jaff is walking.
Happens when
He's
you're
doing a tour of the quayside. It's this is a live show. What does it say on your jacket?
Mm.
What does it say on your jacket? Jeff? Hello? Can you hear me? Is anybody there? It's trying to connect back to your car. There you go.
Yeah.
It disconnected and then connected back to your car is what it done. But anyway, we can't be doomsayers. That's all anybody else is doing or saying, aren't they? Is everybody not just currently sort of going, it's the end of the world, and respect that there is an aspect to that?
Look, it's not going to be end of the world for sure. I think our lives are going to be changing. It just feels such a big shame that you have all these leaders in the world are supposed to be representing the people. They're supposed to be the most intelligent brains that we have. And I just feel disheartened that they're unable to lead the world into this kind of position where the most of humanity is going to suffer. And I just don't think that that's the right leadership. I think, yes, it's very easy to blame, as everyone is doing, point fingers out at Putin and say that Putin is this and Putin is that and A, B, C, and D. And I think it's horrific what's happening in Ukraine. You know, it's so many millions of people being displaced, so many people losing their lives, and it's absolutely terrible. But I think, unfortunately, this is not the first war that we've ever experienced. I think the war it's been ongoing. It seems to be a constant thing, whether you look at Iraq, whether you look at Syria, whether you look at Yemen. You know, remember the Beirut and Palestine and Israel. And I mean, it's just a constant thing. Is it really so necessary? Because you have all these structures in place, such as the UN and this, that, and the other, to try and avoid wars. But I don't know if any of those things have actually managed to stop or change anything, because the powers seem to go ahead and do as they please for their geopolitical interests and whatever other interests that they may have. It's just very sad and disappointing that.
It's shocking because it's the people on the ground, Jeff. When we've said this, right? In Russia, you know, there's people who can't use the bank cards. There's people who can't take money out. These are just normal people. And you know, all of a sudden, the cost of everything, they can't buy goods, they can't buy products, like they're being impacted and affected. I mean, this whole thing, I was reflecting on this, right? This whole, right, we're going to just sort of persecute everybody from Russia. Now, imagine, Jeff, I've gone to Turkey. I've invested in Turkey. I've got lots of money in Turkey. I'm just doing, like, you know, my job. I'm just trying to make a difference. I've got lots of people employed in Turkey, and we're doing lots of, you know, big deal type activities. And then Turkey falls out with the UK, and I lose everything.
Well, your assets get frozen because of your connections to Erdogan.
No, the other way around. I'm saying I'm UK. I'm saying I've invested it there. I've done everything there.
Right. Okay.
Then,
well, you know, what if they freeze the assets because of your connections to Boris?
Well, because I am a UK citizen, and because I've got a variety of different roles. I've met Boris. I've met various ministers. You know, we're working with government. I'm part of an all parliamentary party group for BAME Business. I'm just trying to make a difference for people in this country. We've set up ABC. We've set up SME Centre of Excellence. I'm an honorary colonel. I'm a commander of the British Empire. I'm a visiting professor. I'm all of these things. So somebody would go, well, he must be very well connected with government. We're going to stop everything that he does.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is not, I mean, there is war should never happen. But should you lose all sense of morality because of war? I mean, I just think that everything's gone nuts. And I think it's a very, very slippery slope. When I remember listening to David Cameron at a speech, and I think it was somewhere in North Shields, and this was before he became the Prime Minister. And he said, yes, but we're so proud of our country because we have got the Magna Carta. And he explained that, you know, we have real justice and we have a legal system which is second to none. And the Magna Carta is there because previous to that, the king could say, your head, I don't like you, I'm going to chop your head off. And that was not allowed. It was forbidden because they said that, no, you can't just go and say you're going to chop his head off and chop his head off. There needs to be an element of, there needs to be a trial and it needs to be done in a justified way, just not because of you say so. So the legal system effectively was created from that. Now, I'm a bit nervous when the governments that are in power, they can turn around and say that, yeah, your account's frozen. On what grounds? I mean, the Canadian Justin Trudeau Prime Minister did that in Canada, where the truckers that he felt that they weren't doing things in line with what the government wanted, they went and froze all of their bank accounts. On a bigger scale in this country, there's been some emergency laws or whatever that's been pushed in place, and they've said to Roman Abramovich, your assets are frozen, Chelsea is not yours. I just think that, I mean, is that all legal? Is there not a legal process in place that stops the government from, regardless of how bad or good he is, Roman Abramovich? I mean, you can't just go and say that, oh, everyone that Putin knows that he's friends with, we're going to go and freeze their bank accounts. And that's not bloody me. That's not me being pro-Russian and pro this or pro that. I'm just saying that to me seems an illegal action. And I think it's scary because tomorrow, what if the government turns around and he says that, right, something's happened in Israel and all Muslims, your bank accounts are frozen. Every single one of you. Or you're brown, your bank accounts are frozen. Or you're Iraqi, your bank accounts are frozen. I mean, is that the future? Is this not setting us a horrible precedent? That the government shouldn't be allowed to make.
Look, so here's the thing. Here's the other thing, right, Jeff? Watching, whilst listening to obviously Spice FM, but I was watching the news this morning, and there was they've introduced this law in Russia that for promoting any type of news or against the state or false news, whatever they call it, right?
Yeah.
You're going to get imprisoned for 15 years.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a broadcaster on the telly this morning saying, and I was about to do an interview with somebody from Russia, but I decided not to do it because for two reasons. One, didn't want to get that person into trouble. But two, we don't know what we don't know. And at this moment in time, looking into Russia and seeing the world sentiment, President Putin may not, the likelihood is he's got a limited future, but we don't know that for sure. You know, that's not a given. So if all of a sudden,
our choice. That's not our choice, though, is it?
No, of course it's not. But anyway, in any event, the point is if you've broken that law, imagine, I'd love to go to St. Petersburg. I'd love to go and see all of Russia, and I think it's a beautiful place in space with incredible history. Imagine if all of a sudden you land there and they go, oh, we know you. You know, 15 years.
But, I mean, the thing is, maybe though. So maybe that's done because, for example, let's have a look at all of this then. If the Western media is gonna go in and turn around and say that these biological weapon labs that are in Ukraine, which have been placed by the Americans, which previous to maybe a couple of weeks ago, everybody was saying, oh yeah, these are the conspiracy theorists coming up with theories that would never happen. Yes. So then the defense ministry in America, I can't remember the name of the lady, she had to come out and say that yes, there are labs there and there are biological whatever that they've got there. Oh, and we're very concerned it doesn't go and get into the hands of the Russians. I mean, everything is, the propaganda is so twisted. So the point is that how come there is biological weapon labs in the Ukraine in the first place, put in by the Americans? Why is that okay? And why did we not go to war with Ukraine for them labs being in place? Because that was exactly the same thing that we went into war with Iraq. So the point is, in terms of those stories, the way that they were reported by the Western media to begin with, it was wholly false. And maybe the Russians Russians are saying that would all be twisted and it would be turned on the Russians. Oh yeah, it's not there. So I guess some of those things that are implicit, I'm not agreeing with them. It's there maybe to protect themselves from the excessive propaganda, which does go both ways too. But in the free country that we feel that we have free speech in the UK, but we haven't, because if you see the number of accounts being shut down in Twitter, I mean RT and all them, RT, Sputnik, all these other organizations, why do we need to fear a Russian TV being here in the UK if we want to listen to an alternative argument? Why do we fear it so much that we close it off? So isn't it any indifferent? I think it's not too indifferent. Apart from the prison sentence, yes, fine. There's a bit of extra. They've gone a step further, but you can't say anything in the UK these days. And if you've got a voice that's against the narrative, whether it be your Twitter account, your YouTube account, all of those things, they'll just be wiped off. I'll give you a good example. I was in the midst of watching a documentary that was done by Oliver Stone. I think Oliver Stone was the director that created Gladiators, the epic movie Gladiators, right? I think it was Oliver Stone, and that so there's a documentary. It's called Ukraine on Fire. It's been live on YouTube since 2016 for the last 6 years, and all of a sudden it's been taken down because the things that they talk about is against the narrative, because it talks about the Azov, which is a Nazi group that is situated in the Ukraine, and how they topple the previous legitimate government and this, that, and the other. So anything against the narrative always seems to be, there's like this big, huge, war of media that's going on from both sides. And obviously, being in the West, that's all we're going to see. But ultimately, for me as an individual with all things, I like to get a balanced perspective on both sides, and then you make a judgment based on what you feel is going to be the truth, or what is obvious the truth. And if you can't get a balanced perspective on the other side, I mean, what's there to hide? There seems to me that there seems to be so much to hide. I'd much rather let the Russians say their thing, have the media there, and then, because if they're so bad, they can't hide it anyway, can they? I mean, can they really, really hide atrocities if they're there, if it's obvious?
Don't know. We don't know what we don't know, but I mean, ultimately, let's get on to some positive stuff, Jaff, because there's just so much doom and gloom out there. So this week, it was International Women's Day earlier this week, and looking at stories of entrepreneurs you might not have heard of, and I'm delighted that Sister Shareen's going to be joining us in about 10 minutes or so to tell us what she's been up to in this week. But Reese Fernandez Ruiz is a Filipino social entrepreneur, president and founding partner of Rags to Riches, a social enterprise established in 2007.
What, in the UK, Amar, or in the Philippines?
In the Philippines, I think. I don't know. Let's see. The main aim of the company is to empower Philippine-based artisans, creating fashion and home products that follow environmental ethical principles. Rags to Riches recycles old rug scraps that would end up in landfill by giving them to local women who then use them to create new and unique fashion items. The business creates links with local factories to provide the women with scrap materials and gives them opportunity to sell their products directly to retailers, cutting out the middleman while also making sure that the workers are provided with an education and health insurance. Reese Fernandez Ruiz visited the village of Payatas in the Philippines with her mother, whose job was to travel and provide aid to the poor. Her mother's work exposed Fernandez Ruiz to the poverty and suffering of people in the Philippines. She was motivated to start Rags to Riches when she realized that women in Payatas received little profit for rugs that they created from cloth and scraps, as middlemen were controlling their supplies and rug sales. Now, Rags to Riches ensures that all profits go to the women creating their products, and is a multi-million-pound global phenomenon.
Incredible.
And Dr. Nadine Hachach Haram is the founder and CEO of Proximi, a startup that is using augmented reality technology to help train surgeons worldwide. Dr. Hachach Haram noticed that clinical training for surgeons varied widely between countries. Proximi's online platform allows surgeons from operating rooms and labs across the world to share skills and training in real time, helping to move us one step closer to a universal standard of clinical care. She says, we wanted to create the effect of a borderless operating room that could empower surgeons to remotely share knowledge that could ultimately reduce variation in care and help save lives.
Excellent.
There's just some incredible, I think it's wonderful that we recognize and respect and appreciate women thinking and talking about gender inequality, Jaff. Right? And hard to reach and things like that. I mean, I'm equally looking forward to International Men's Day in November, so we can celebrate. Yeah.
We don't seem to have anything anymore. International everything else other than us.
Yeah. Let's create one. International Jaff and Amar Day. I think that's what we should do. How many people do you think you've met in your life, Jaff?
Wow. I don't think anyone's ever asked that question before. What does that mean, though? Like you saying hello to that person, shaking their hand, right?
Yeah.
10,000?
Right.
I don't know.
That's
Is there any statistics out there?
So I imagine it probably is. I don't know. As in, different people would have met different people, right? As in,
yeah.
If I think about myself, I'd probably times that by 10 at least.
100,000 people? Probably. You would have met a lot more people than me.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. I'm just saying, obviously, you've got, if you think about your business, I mean, how many customers do you have coming through your door?
Yeah, but does that count though? You know, if you say hello to somebody,
I mean, I'm just thinking about, I've studied conference. Well, yeah, I don't know. I suppose there'd probably be a more interesting question, but that's probably not for air and at this time of the day. Anyway, why did I ask that question? I suppose it was more just, if there was an international Amar and Jaff Day, what would people celebrate?
Yeah. Before we get our guest on, I think we just need to quickly touch on the sudden death of Shane Warne, Amar, the Australian cricketer, because we should pay our respects to him, especially being an Asian radio show and the love of cricket within the subcontinent. I think one of the world's greatest spinner sadly had a very, very sudden heart attack in Thailand. I think it was last week some point, and it did shock the world. And it's very, very sad moment for obviously his family, his friends, and the sport and the world in general. I think he was honoured by giving a state funeral, wasn't he, yesterday? I think it was.
Yeah. And it was funny because my younger brother sent me a message, literally heartbroken, saying, you know, my all-time hero. Can't believe we've lost my all-time hero. And it's, you know, he clearly was and clearly is such an influence, a positive influence on so many, isn't he?
Yeah.
And so, you know, so absolutely, you know, we need to pay homage and respect to the late Shane Warne. Talking about sport and such, like Newcastle going well.
Newcastle United.
Yeah.
You know, in world football at this moment in time, in 2022, there are 3 teams in the whole world that are unbeaten. One of them is Barcelona, the other is Liverpool, and the third one is Newcastle United. Liverpool have gained 22 points in 2022. Newcastle and Barcelona both have gained 20 points. So it just shows the level at which NUFC is performing at this moment in time.
Incredible, isn't it?
It's just, the turnaround is just phenomenal. I think we have to now pinch ourselves. After all those 14 years of pain, we have to pinch ourselves and say that we are such lucky football fans that this particular owners have taken us over, because they have done everything in the correct way. And contrary to so many people in the media that think they're all smart, you know, they're smart. Am I allowed to say asses? Smart asses on air?
Oh,
I said it anyway. Okay, well, apologies. But you know, you have people on all these radio shows, and you have personalities like what's he called? Jordan, the former Crystal Palace owner. You got Gavi Agbonlahor. You've got all of these people that saying that, oh, well, Newcastle, we should have kept Steve Bruce and the owners. What are they doing? You know, what's Amanda Staveley going to come and do, trying to do the deals themselves without having a director of football or without having a chief executive on board? Because Amanda Staveley and Mehra, they took it upon themselves, and they've got a temporary team, Steve Nixon and co, that are head of recruitment, and they had another party from Celtic to help them do the deals in the January transfer window, but they were literally doing it themselves. And so the recruitment process that they went through, and they're so astute because they identified, in order to get out of a relegation zone, it's not a matter of getting prima donnas, like super duper silky players. They needed to get individuals that had some serious character, really, really strong characters, team players, prepared to work hard. And they did, every single individual that they brought, they had that in abundance, and that's the biggest fundamental change. I think they've identified that at that phase that we were in, we needed that. So let's move forward to the summer, because we're not going to get relegated now. They will add more to the bones in terms of getting some players with much higher caliber to what we have, but probably those characteristics are going to stay the same, which puts us in the future in a great position, because you hear about Man United, a great Manchester United, that they have all prima donnas that are too big for the club. I don't think Newcastle will ever go down that route.
You don't?
They won't get prima donnas that are going to come and not give 100% to the club and play for them as individuals and not have harmony within the club. I think that's a recipe for failure, and that's why Manchester United are struggling so much, because they've got all these, you know, big names from Ronaldo to Paul Pogba to Bruno Fernandes to, Rashford and all the other players that you can name that just play for themselves. They're not team players, and that's why they're struggling. But I think that our hiring of players in the future is going to be so astute. They're going to get the right profile and the right characters. And I think we're going to be a top 6 team next season for sure.
I think it's fantastic to see and feel that. The impact that it has on the city overall is amazing, isn't it?
It's just incredible, Amar. And let's imagine that in the summer, though, when they can get their teeth into things, and there's plans to take the stadium and make it 65,000 seater, and there's so many plans, so many incredible plans. The sponsorship that's going to come our way.
It's going to be amazing. We've got Sister Shareen here. Undoubtedly, she's going to talk about. She's also going to talk about football.
Excellent.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Shareen.
Oh, walaikum salam, walaikum salam. How are you both?
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful.
Good.
How are you?
Oh, I would say very good, very good. Exciting 2022. And obviously this is my hat trick as well.
Yeah.
So I'm really pleased to be with you both today.
It's a pleasure and an honor to have you on air with us. So tell us, introduce yourself. Obviously, this is a hat trick, but for those newer listeners and newer viewers, please introduce yourself, say who you are, what you do, why you do it.
Okay, a positive introduction. I'm Shareen Qureshi. I'm Amame's sister.
Yeah.
I can say that. And what do? I'm a banker. Yeah, very exciting in times like this. And I'm also the founder of Sports Tech Global Conference. So in a nutshell, I wear 2 hats.
Good. So tell us, obviously, the nutshell of Sports Tech Global Conference, but also you've done some incredible work this week around raising the profile of International Women's Day as well, haven't you?
I have, something that I feel really passionate about, not just as being a woman, but also a feminist. I always say we because it's women as a collective. We all came together to celebrate International Women's Day. And the reason, why I found this is important, I believe that each and every one of us has, a unique skill set, but when we come together, magical things happen. It's empowering each other. And on that particular day, we had Sir Les Ferdinand say, hey, it was even extra special that you get the full endorsement from someone who I call as a good friend, who believed in my visions, a bit like yourself. You've encouraged me. It's nice to have male allies that give you that positive, feedback. I would say they give you that encouragement, confidence, the confidence to be you. So I think it was an interesting morning, and it was at a very special venue. Not many people know this, but there's a private members club called it's University's Women's Club, which was founded in 1886. It's now over 100 years old because last year it was the year of the centenary, and it's a home for where women can study. It's a place of respite, friendship, enjoyment. I think where women can really just, majority of members clubs across London are, male domineering, but this particular one is female orientated. So it was a good morning.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit more about that. What was the background to it, and what did you manage to achieve by celebrating this in such a special place?
Well, the theme for this year that I've said was the power of storytelling.
Yeah.
because we always get facts and figures. So the panel that was there was a dedicated panel from different backgrounds, not just from the sports arena. From I had a panel that come from South Africa, who had come from the Middle East, and it was sharing their powerful stories on what does it mean, empowering women, and especially in the environments we're living in now. We have the digital immersion, the innovation, things are changing. There's a lot more women now in the workforce than there were before. And also sharing advice on how, if they'd see themselves, the younger selves, if they were to rewind time, what advice they would give to themselves, the younger selves. I think the bigger message that we were giving out there is that, the unifying, that we are unified together, the equality, inclusion, everyone, supporting one another. So there was a bigger message from a small message, but it was coming from people, professionals from different parts of the world. And I was really pleased to listen to some of the advice, the wisdom, some of the struggles that they had and how they overcome those struggles. I could personally relate to some of those big messages. And I think, as things evolve, I mean, everything's at a touch button nowadays. You just have to go to Siri or Google, and they end up giving you some great answers. But when you hear from someone who's been through that journey, it becomes so real. So it was a morning full of inspirational stories, I would say. So everyone had something to take away, and obviously, most importantly, is growing your network, Brother Amar, because events like this help you make new friends. Someone took a new friend home, it's like a new contact number, or expanding your network. And I think, for me, ultimately, it was the celebration, a milestone, because as you've been following my journey on sports tech. I've had some setbacks personally, and I feel that those setbacks have made me a stronger person. I learn from them and I move on, and I'm someone who's quite persistent, and I won't be giving up. So this year will be a special year for myself, because the seeds that I planted almost 3 years ago will bear the fruits this year and beyond.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so I would love to hear from you, Brother Mar and Jeff. I would love to hear from both of you. What did my brothers do to celebrate International Women's Day in Newcastle?
We invited you to here so we could celebrate you, given how incredible you are.
Oh, thank you.
I celebrate International Women's Day every day. So it doesn't need to be a special day, because genuinely, I think we have an operation where our entire management team in one of the restaurants, 4 managers, are all females. And we have chefs which are female as well. So we've been kind of embracing women and in their professions and profiles for many, many years. But simply, it's not based on the fact that they're women. It's based on whether they're good enough to be able to do their job. And if they are, then we embrace that. So I think, yes, it's nice to have a particular day, but I think the bigger picture is that you must have a philosophy or mentality to be able to embrace women in positions of power, but they must be good enough to hold those positions of power.
I totally agree with you, Jeff. I think everything that you've just said there resonates. It's your meritocracy, and it's a celebration every single day. Obviously, there's the symbolic day is the 8th of March globally, but I think it's every single day, recognize all the small things and being appreciative of those small things, and vice versa. Women should also acknowledge the male allies, the allyship, because collectively, when we support one another, things become even more powerful. Likewise, I'm here today. If it wasn't for Brother Amar, I don't think I would be on this radio channel. So it's that acknowledgement, and also giving that encouragement, and being there when you know when you are going through certain moments throughout your career. I think that's sort of my key message. That don't, especially in our communities, I see it more and more, and I do want to be that pioneer that supports my Asian community in Newcastle. That be courageous, build your confidence, and come out of your comfort zone, and don't be shy to ask.
And that's the key thing, right? Is like sort of networking, asking, supporting, influencing. Equally, it's wonderful to have people like your good self who are trailblazing, making a difference, sort of flying the flag, lighting the torch, doing all of those things. So, it's fantastic. And when are you coming here, Sister Shareen?
Oh, remember what I said to you? I said I would be there when I want to watch a game. I still haven't been to Newcastle, a home game. I still haven't seen the ground, so that's on my bucket list. Obviously, I need to have that great food. I was actually saying to you, Les Ferdinand, I said, we don't have to worry about food in Newcastle. One, mum's home cooked food is brilliant, but then we also have a really good restaurant. So
the best in the world.
The best in the world.
Yeah, that's a good restaurant. I think what you need to do is you need to get in touch with Les Ferdinand, invite him to the Liverpool match, tell him to organise the tickets for about 6-7 people, and then we'll all come with you, and we'll enjoy and we'll have a blast at St James's Park.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the things. He's keen. He's only been back once, but I feel that this will mark a big celebration. He's been really supportive, and I know how busy he is with QPR. But one of the things, the driving force is to bring him across to Newcastle again. I think the fans will love him. It will be, I would love to have a few sisters to come along as well, just to come and join and watch and see. But I'm going to make that happen.
Why don't you preempt an email to Les Ferdinand and say that, look, Les, before the end of the season, you've got to come to Newcastle. I'm sure the club's going to invite him anyway, but I would preempt it so that he's going to bring you along with him, which would be really, really nice to see.
I will do that. He's already agreed on various things because I know he's a legend. He's a massive legend for Newcastle, and I know that the whole Newcastle will be super excited to see Les. And if I share this with you, and I'll share this with all the viewers, for International Women's Day, I was plucking away and putting everything together, and all I did was send him a WhatsApp. This is the honest truth. I said, International Women's Day, would love to see you there 9 a.m. and this is the address. His response was, I'll see you there. I had to hold on to that faith because I'm thinking, will he come from where he's coming from? He lives outskirts of London. And actually he was prompt on time. He was there. He was probably late for his training, where he had to he had day commitments, but he stayed there. Not only did he stay there, he mingled with everyone, took loads of selfies. He's not a social media person. And also I put him on the spot. I was prepared, but he wasn't. So I just handed the microphone, as I would, so I said, here, let's say a few words. And I just found that, he's someone, I've met many legends, but he's someone who, when he gives you his word is his bond. So I think, we can make this happen. And especially now with Newcastle not in the relegation zone, thankfully, it's even bigger celebrations.
Yeah, we were just talking about that before you came on to highlight how big of a deal Newcastle is. And Jaff's got some wonderful statistics. Jaff, do you want to share them?
Well, I was just saying to Amar that in world football currently in 2022, there's 3 teams that are unbeaten, one of which is Liverpool, second is Barcelona, the third is Newcastle United. Liverpool have amassed 22 points and Barcelona 20 and Newcastle 20. So we're up there with some of the biggest teams in the world. And I think that by next season, we're going to be genuinely going to be able to be up there with some of the best clubs in English football for sure. I think we're going to look for a top 6 finish, and I think the following season after that, you know, there's no, I mean, the ambitions are to be as big as the clubs that we've mentioned, and to be at their level in 2022 is just incredible, and hopefully this is just the beginning.
Thank you for sharing that. You know, I'm super excited. I'm a bit of a football junkie myself. And I'm really proud of where Newcastle's, you know, the achievement. It just shows you that they were in bottom 3 just last year when we were having those conversations, and where they are today. You know, it's persistency and having that belief, and especially the fans. What I would like to see, being born and bred Geordie, I would like to see a new fan base being created, and I would like to see more of you know, our community attending these matches, because we've grown exponentially, hugely, you know, and I think the change of mindset. I'm now the 3rd, you know, generation. There's also 4th generation. Academia has changed, people have changed. So I'd love to see a stand full of our community backing you know, Newcastle United and the players. That's wishful thinking.
Yeah, I don't think it's wishful thinking at all. I think a lot of people in our community naturally support the local football club. I think when I do go to the matches, and I'm a season ticket holder, I don't see many brown faces, but there are a few dotted around. But the thing is about going to the football, you don't feel. I've never felt any type of animosity from any of the fans because of the colour of the skin, our home fans, ever. So I think that's probably just a matter of time, and I think there's going to be more interest. I think the problem that they'll find is getting a hold of tickets now, to be honest, because they're not going to be able to get a hold of them, especially the season tickets. But, you know, I'm sure there's certain games where they'll try and apply and get tickets. So I think with the fact that the Saudi owners, you're going to see a lot more brown faces at St. James's Park, whether it's those that come from the Middle East, because they take a natural interest in the club, because that's going to be their club. You know, there's going to be a lot of Saudis visiting Newcastle, especially when the bigger players start to come. So that's probably going to be a natural evolution of it.
You know, I think so too.
I think it's good. I think it's a little, whatever the background, whatever the driver is, I think it's wonderful that we are starting to see more diversity, more acceptance, and appreciation. And if whether it's football, I think it can be a real catalyst. You know, we could go from sort of being at times divisive or whatever it is, and use football as that catalyst to address and tackle barriers, which I know will be part of what the whole sports tech global conference is about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, this year is significant. So just to give you sort of an outline of some of my plans going forward, and you're going to love this, Brother Amar. You're going to really love this. So
Yeah.
on the 6th of June, I'm off to Kilimanjaro with the military. So these are the Royal Engineers, something that I paid for before lockdown. I am now training again. So it's a 10-day mission. So 6 days up and then 2 days coming down, Kilimanjaro. So that's a 10-day break. On the 26th of May, probably saying things in the wrong order now, we are celebrating Just Tech. So that's for sports tech, because we want to showcase some of the great innovation that we have. And that then leads me to something really, and I can now publicly say this, one of the things that I'm a massive fan of is boxing, you know, and I want to celebrate the legacy of late Muhammad Ali. So from the side of my desk, I reached out to the Guinness World Record, you know, the group of people there, and they've agreed now that I can hold the skipping, because remember, Muhammad Ali loved skipping. So I'm hosting that at Hyde Park, and in order to fulfill that, I need 10,000 people to skip together for 3 minutes. Obviously, there'll be intervals. So that will take place on the 28th of August. So I'm really excited, you know, putting this whole mission together. And then last year I missed out on the marathon run because I unfortunately contracted COVID. So this year I am running the marathon. And I think
Wow.
I'm going to do it in style. So I'm calling it Pimp My Hijab, because I run with my Nike Nike attire. So that's the goal is 1,000,000 miles for £1,000,000, and I think, you know, given the 3 big events that I'll be doing, it will be quite an exciting
Fantastic.
time.
It's
Hard work,
amazing.
though.
Well done.
Hard
Yeah,
work.
we're running out of time, just to forewarn you, just so you know. I'm just letting you know. We are running out of time, but I love what you do and how you do it and why you do it. And you know, we need to get you on more regularly. So we're going to give you a rather than a hat trick, let's do a century in cricket terms, and get you on at least once a month, so you can sort of share with everyone, inspire everyone, and encourage more people as well.
24 hours a
No,
day,
absolutely.
7 days a week.
That's
Smash
us
FM
done.
98.8
Goodbye,
FM.
Courtney. Lovely
Have
to
a
see
nice
you.
Friday.
Russia
Have a
has
nice
dropped
weekend.
bombs
Bye.
on new cities overnight,
you.
including Dnipro in
Bye.
eastern Ukraine. Many people started fleeing the city a few days ago, but we're hearing reports that one person has died. Well, the Foreign Secretary says Russian President Vladimir